2014 was the 100th anniversary of the beginning of World War I, and as one of the acts of remembrance, many villages across the UK set up projects to research the lives of the men listed on their war memorials, located in churchyards and town squares throughout the land. This was of particular interest to me, as I had always wondered who were these men, what were their backgrounds, and where had they paid the ultimate sacrifice for their country. In many cases, families never knew what had happened to their loved ones killed in action. Indeed, there may not be a grave they could visit to pay their last respects, and even if there were, it may be in another country, and outside the means of a family member to make such a long, expensive journey. At this time, I lived in the village of Great Shefford in West Berkshire, and I volunteered to help in our project to investigate which units our men were serving, where they were fighting, and perhaps what were the circumstances around their deaths. The power of the Internet and the resources that can be used to tap into vital information cannot be underestimated. It led me to the online war diaries of the Royal Berkshire Regiment, looked after by the Rifles, Berkshire and Wiltshire Museum in Salisbury, to as far afield as Australia for information on No. 1 Squadron RAF. I realised that whilst these men no longer had a voice, in most cases there was little written personal material either. However, I could connect the where, why and what they were doing with the experiences written or spoken by men from the same regiments, squadrons or ships' companies. These accounts by individuals who were not necessarily known by our man, but who were there sharing the experience with him, must surely provide a window into the sights, sounds and conditions experienced collectively by all those present. A fascinating and, at times, moving exercise. Around the same time, my mother gave me a 4-page document detailing the naval career of my great-grandfather, Herbert Leader, who was born in 1900. He joined the Royal Navy in the summer of 1918, having had a hard upbringing in the workhouse and on the railways as an engine cleaner. Like many young men joining up, he signed on for the maximum term of 12 years. With little prospects back in his home county of Norfolk, and the country at war, what else could he do? What immediately struck me was not only the longevity of his service, 1918 to 1945, but the number of ships he served in, some 22 different vessels in total, mainly destroyers and cruisers. His career included 2 long-term tours on the East Indies station, based out of Trincomalee in Ceylon, each of a duration of almost 2.5 years. Time away from his family, with almost no means of communication other than the written letter, a situation that is totally alien to us in the age of internet access and real-time video calling. However, Herbert was experiencing the Navy at a time when its size, certainly in comparison of the Navy today, and technical capability was still unprecedented. For example, at the 1937 Fleet Review for the coronation of King George VI, there were 10 lines of ships stretching 10 miles across the Solent, and he was there aboard Iron Duke. I was very fortunate to visit the Royal Navy Library at Portsmouth Naval Base one cold and wet November day, the cobbles of the dockyard glistening black from a recent shower. Having walked through the Unicorn Gate, where my great-grandfather and so many men have passed before, the Victory, that constant presence at Portsmouth, came into view. Once the cutting edge of warship construction, Victory was backdropped by the latest and largest ship ever built for the Royal Navy, a huge slab of steel and purpose, the aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth.